So quality traffic has increased. So Google is getting better and better and better at understanding people's websites and trying to serve the correct content to the search audience. What that means is that you may not get as much volume, but the quality of the traffic is increasing.
So less traffic's not always a bad thing.
No, not at the moment, in fact. In fact, the current trend right now is less traffic, but better traffic.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. We will be sharing all the latest news, trends, and tips for you, and interviewing the movers and shakers in the travel creative ecosystem. This is Travel Matters.
Welcome to Travel Matters, and my name is Palle, and I'm here with TBEX CEO Rick Calvert. Hi, Rick.
Hello, Palle.
And when I say I'm here, I'm not really in the same room as you, even though we're
almost here.
We are so close that we should have been in the same room. I'm in San Diego, and you're still in. Oh, what was the name of that place? Temecula. Yeah, but I'll see you on Tuesday, where you promised to take me for
fish tacos.
Is that a special San Diegan thing?
It's really a Baja Mexico thing, but San Diego, as so much of San Diego, borrows so much from that Baja Mexico culture. So yeah, it's a San Diego thing, and the place where we're going is called the Brigantine, which is a nice seafood restaurant, but we're not going to the restaurant. We're going to the bar. That's where I would recommend anybody in town go. And there's two things. First of all, the tacos are made exceptionally well there, and they have their own special hot sauce. It's also made in San Diego that is just phenomenal on fish tacos. So.
Yeah. And I came here to San Diego 5 days ago, and I'm in the historical Gaslight district. It's absolutely lovely here, and I decided that when I got to San Diego, after Montana, I've been all over the place in the western half of the U.S., and sometimes only just a few days, sometimes only even one night. But I decided to spend at least 10 days here in San Diego to really get a sense of it and get some work done as well.
So you've been walking around the gas lamp, of course, and you've been down to walk along the shoreline there at Seaport Village as well?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, with the
aircraft carrier.
The USS Midway, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to see. Have you been on the trolley yet?
Not yet. I'm going on one of those free walking tours tomorrow morning, and it's something I like to do when I get to a place to get a good sense of it, and then from there decide what else to see. So that's something that I try to do.
One day, if you have the time, Palle, just hop on the trolley and go down it'll take you right to the border. So you could walk over to Tijuana.
Oh, it goes all the way there. Okay.
Yeah, right across the border too. If you just go through the border crossing, and you can just walk there to Pueblo Amigo. There's a couple of great restaurants there, and there's an awesome tortilleria right there where you can go get some fresh tortillas. The ladies are making them right there.
I bet you can get Mexican food there.
Oh, yeah. You got to go walk a little bit further in if you want to get some of the street tacos, which are also amazing. But right across the border, there's some good food right across the border.
Anyway, this is Travel Matters, and we're a little bit late on this one. We try to put an episode out every other week, but you've been super busy, and I've been traveling, so we had a hard time finding a time to sit down and chat for this episode.
Yep, but here we are. So we apologize for the delay.
Anyway, we have a very interesting interview in this episode, and that's one that you did while in Billings, Montana, with the guy at the table next to us. We were recording in the networking room, so you'll hear some buzz in the background. But the guy next to us is an old acquaintance of TBEX,
a good friend, I would say. So Michael Collins from TravelMedia.ie approached me before TBEX Europe in Dublin several years ago, and asked if we needed any help with anything doing the event in Ireland because he was from there. He had lots of contacts, and he did a lot of work with bloggers, and he did a lot of work with DMOs in working with bloggers and influencers. And so we had a phone conversation, and he has just been a phenomenal resource for us and a great friend to me ever since that first time. His first talk there in Dublin was standing room only, and he was one of the highest reviewed speakers of the conference. He spoke many times at TBEX. They produce a lot of videos for us. They typically do the videos when we announce our new destinations. So yeah, he has some great advice in this interview for DMOs in particular. And I highly encourage people to reach out to Michael if they have any questions about DMOs and travel creators working together.
You're listening to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX.
All right, so our guest is the one, the only, Michael Collins, TravelMedia.ie. Would that be how you pronounce it, Michael?
Yep, that's it. TravelMedia.ie.
We've known each other long enough. You think I would get it
many
that
years
straight?
Now, since Toronto, I think was the first time I met you.
Since Toronto.
TBEX Toronto.
You reached out to me very early days about TBEX, and you said, hey, I've heard about this conference, and I'd like to get involved and help in any way that I can. And thank you. I know I've told you this many times, but just so people listen to the podcast can know, you've been such a great help to TBEX, to me personally, and to the travel blogging community. So
thank you
for all of that.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, so I think it's a two-way street. I really enjoyed it.
So for those that don't know, tell us about TravelMedia.ie and what you and your team do.
So good question, because we're in the transition of hopefully very soon rebranding.
Oh.
Something we've been working on a little while. We started
Can you tell us what it is yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But we started off as an Irish agency.
Yep.
So I started off in travel as a travel editor, travel publisher.
You had your own magazine.
Many magazines, in fact.
Okay.
All travel, and we used to do contract publishing as well.
Yep.
So by, say, 06, you could kind of see what the internet was doing, and by 09, I got completely out of magazines.
Again, you were looking quite a few years ahead of your competitors.
And there's still a place for magazines. I'm not somebody who's, I still love print, in fact.
Yeah.
But I could see what it was doing in that very niche sector.
Yeah.
And we've seen this only in the last week or two. We saw National Geographic Traveler in the US decide to cease publication.
And the Chronicle Calvert travel section, yeah.
So in 06, I started an agency, traditional PR agency. So we got to know a lot of tourist boards in the years that we were in the print publishing game. And a tourist board, the Finnish tourist board, actually approached me and said, here's a contract, we need help.
So you were in business.
Yeah, and I said, look, I'm not in PR, I'm in publishing. And they said, look, you know everybody. We've worked with you on the other side of the fence and we'd like some help. So took the contract, and that's how Travel Media started. And the IE was because we were based in Ireland and everything we were doing was Irish related. Now the majority of our business is outside of Ireland. So we've clients all over the world, still travel. So tourist boards, airlines, tour operators, hotel chains, conferences, publications, ironically. So still travel, but now international travel. And we pivoted, let's say, 7-8 years ago from being traditional PR to being digital. So all new work that we take on now has to be digital. We don't take on any traditional PR work. And everything we do is digitally focused. So in the early days, it was just Facebook, organic posts. Now it's all paid Facebook or paid social. Small amount of Twitter, small amount of LinkedIn, a lot more Instagram these days, but a lot of content creation.
You guys do a ton of video. Leslie's here taking our picture right now as we're doing this.
And video's become the big thing in the last year, without a doubt. We've always been fans of it, and I've spoken about video at many conferences over the last 2-3 years, trying to encourage people to kind of look more deeply at it and explain why it's important. And for obvious reasons, people are lazy. They'll watch a video more than they'll read a 1,000-word article, or a 1,000-word blog. So. And it's also a visual tool, so you can explain so much more in a video. But it's become more accessible. Smartphones, obviously, in the last few years have made it very powerful. I mean, I shoot a huge amount of stuff on a smartphone using a gimbal. So video, without a doubt, has taken off in the last few years. But what was interesting is that a lot of people didn't understand how to use it. There's a different ecosystem of SEO within video, which is separate, in YouTube that is, which is separate to SERP results on traditional search. So it's helping people understand that. It's helping them understand how to use YouTube. Because what happened is most people used YouTube, found that it failed, or rather that they failed, as in they were uploading videos and getting 200-300 views, maybe 1,000. And it was mainly because they weren't optimizing their channel. They weren't uploading the videos properly. They weren't doing any keyword research, and they weren't sharing.
You've talked about video SEO at TBEX.
Yeah, and you've had 2 great talks about the video SEO, which is great to see. Because I think I did it last year, and I think it was the only person touching on it. So to have 2 speakers, focused on just SEO within YouTube is great, and many other YouTube speakers. So it shows it's very much the trend now. There's been a lot of focus on YouTube at this conference, which is great to see. But it's a wonderful opportunity. What I love about YouTube is the fact that, the number 1 search engine or website in the world is Google, of course. The number 2 search engine in the world is YouTube, and it's owned by Google. But most people focus huge effort on the SEO of getting their blog right, but no SEO effort when they're looking at their actual video content. And in terms of websites in the world, YouTube's number 3, Facebook is number 2, and Google's number 1. Now, Facebook is a pay-to-play environment. You get no content distributed unless you put money behind it. But YouTube is completely free. Get the SEO right, get the optimization of the content right, learn to share your content, and you'll do very, very well. And YouTube will tell you this. If YouTube have a great blog and they explain how YouTube works and how they, expect a channel to work if you follow the steps. And the biggest mistake that people make with YouTube is that they don't understand that it's a social media channel. They upload a video, they dump it, they run, they take the URL, and they dump the URL into their blog or wherever else they need it. But YouTube is social. So you must play the same game in any other social media channel. So when you engage on Facebook, you like, you comment, you share, etc., etc. You like other people's, you tag, you like other people's channels. But most people don't do that on YouTube. So they don't take the time to actually go and look at other channels and subscribe to them. So it's very simple. Play the social game.
So a real simple thing, what I think I just heard you say, because I know this is a tactic on Facebook, is you go and tag people. Like you take a photo of a group of people, you tag all those people, and then those people are likely to respond to you. If you do that with a group of people that are already super active on Facebook and maybe have an audience, and then they come and interact with you on your Facebook channel, your Facebook page, group, whatever it may be, you're more likely for them to send you more people, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying it works the exact same way on YouTube.
So watch other people's content. Don't dump and run. So don't upload your own video, take the URL and disappear. Watch other people's content, engage with that content, play the social game. Then they'll engage with you.
Especially if you really like it and it's relevant to you and it's relevant to the people watching your videos.
But you're also, from an SEO perspective, you're helping YouTube understand who you are and what your channel is. So if you own a channel and it's about motorcycles and traveling, well, if you go out and you like other channels that are similar, then you're helping YouTube understand who you are, what niche or milieu you fit into.
And you just touched on now YouTube will recommend your videos to people who are watching some other video.
Yeah, and there's one blog post that YouTube have on their channel it basically says that ballpark, you should have about 50% of your traffic coming from within the YouTube environment, as in recommended views. But that's only going to happen if you play the social game. So if you take the time to sit down and set up your channel properly and to engage with other people on YouTube. So like, comment, share, like channels, etc., etc. But dump and run, nothing's going to happen.
So those are a couple great tips for both creators and for brands. I wanted to talk to you today about brands because while you have lots of relationships with bloggers, you work with bloggers, content creators, your clients really are brands. They're DMOs
Correct.
and travel brands, right?
Yep.
So what are you seeing now these days from travel brands? What are they asking you to do? What are they looking for when they're looking to interact with content creators?
Well, it's interesting. The conversation I've had a lot now over the last year with brands has been, we've got YouTube sorted. We're good on Instagram. We're good on Twitter. We're happy, but YouTube we've never looked at. And we've tried and we've failed. Can you help? So we're now managing a lot of YouTube channels for clients. So to a certain extent, previously it was just shooting a bit of content. Now it's actually managing the channel. And managing the channel means optimizing the channel, helping the client set it up correctly in terms of understanding what they're trying to achieve, what keywords they're trying to rank for, what kind of audience they're trying to attract, but also the content itself. So shooting and editing video. and then uploading as well. Because SEO within YouTube starts before you even film or shoot a video. So if a client hands you a pre-packaged video and says, please upload this and do the SEO and so on, you've missed half the opportunity in that you haven't actually set the video up itself from an SEO perspective. So for example, the first 50, 100 words are key within your title and also within your description. But also YouTube is looking at the audio. So if it's somebody doing a piece to camera or if it's an interview, whatever it is, there is audio. Google or YouTube automatically transcribes that and indexes it.
So the AI or the algorithm is listening to your video.
Yeah, and you can upload your own captions as well, and we do that. We recommend because it is Google doing it as an algorithm. It doesn't always get it right, and especially if you're dealing with a very niche topic where there are certain keywords or phrases that might be written differently or unique to an industry. So we'll always do our own captions. We'll upload those, and we know that Google's looking at them. So if, for example, we're talking about TBEX billings, and here we are in billings today, if you're setting up a video that's about TBEX billings and you want to rank for the keyword phrase TBEX billings or Billings Montana, the first words in the audio also should be TBEX billings. So how you would edit a video is key in terms of what phrase you start with. So you're looking at the thumbnail, the text in that thumbnail, the name of the thumbnail file, the captions, you're looking at the description, you're looking at the actual title itself, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can get involved with a client when you're actually discussing the channel and the SEO and the success of that channel before they even shot a video, then you're in a great opportunity.
You've got a better chance for success.
Exactly. Now, you can't always do that, and that's the kind of the end goal. Eventually you do get to a place where a client where they're saying, okay, we want to make a number of videos next year, and this is why we want to make them. And then we'll say, okay, can we see the script? Is there a script? Is there an audio?
So do you go back and edit videos that already exist?
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
But we can go back in and look at videos that have been uploaded and sitting there for a while and just haven't been optimized properly, and we can go in and do that.
So I asked that question because I know a lot of bloggers in particular. We've had SEO workshops here at TBEX where Jim Arment would be one and her partner Laura talking about going back, looking at your old posts, updating those posts, optimizing that SEO, and bloggers seeing dramatic increases in traffic from updating old content.
Yeah.
So does that work in YouTube that way?
So unfortunately it doesn't quite work with YouTube because you'd have to go and edit the video. Okay. Now, within YouTube, you can go in and make small edits on a video, but you can't really at the moment do anything dramatic. So you can go back in and edit the title, the captions, the description, the thumbnail, etc., and they can all have an impact on the SEO. So often we'll look at a video that we may have uploaded and feel it's not working to its potential, so we'll go back in and mess or change or test or play or rinse or repeat a lot of those elements, but the actual video file itself, unfortunately, there's not much you can do there at the moment.
So would you basically take the same idea of a video and redo it? Just leave the old video alone, create a new piece, but do it better so it's optimized for video SEO.
Yeah, I mean, blogging, obviously, what I love about blogging is we've got some wonderful blogs on our website where we talk about what's happening in the industry. So we'll often go into those blogs and edit, update, and repost maybe twice a year. So you can't do that, unfortunately, with video at the moment, but you can go in, if you feel video isn't working, go in and change some of the keywords or change some of the titles and descriptions. But it doesn't stop you, as you say, shooting another video because the world moves and things change, and a city guide that you produced a year ago may not be relevant now.
Yep. What about taking down old content? Is that something you ever do? Or recommend that your clients do?
For the moment, we don't recommend it that often. If there's content that is very much out of date, so we do it with clients. They say, look, that content is out of date. We want to take it down. We'll often change it from being public to private. So we'll keep the video there. We won't delete it because the stats related to that video are good, and the stats tell YouTube a lot. So in terms of total view numbers, total view hours across the channel, total subscriber numbers, etc. And some people may have indexed that video that you have, that URL. So you want to keep the URL there, but you'll just change it from being public to private.
Okay, so getting better at YouTube, that's a challenge that you're seeing a lot of clients have. What are some other challenges you see clients having these days?
SEO, more and more SEO. SEO is getting more and more complicated. We dealt with structured data at the conference here. which is very advanced SEO. But even basic SEO is an ongoing issue. And the big thing for us is trying to help clients understand that SEO isn't something you go and do once and then walk away from, because the Google algorithm updates every single day. Now,
you have to constantly reevaluate.
We hear about updates like Panda and Penguin and so on. They're the big updates where they've grouped lots of different elements under a certain theme, so duplicate content, for example. So in reality, there are updates happening on a daily basis. So if you don't have somebody with SEO skills, keeping an eye on Search Console, looking at your Google Analytics, seeing what share of market or voice or search you're getting, then you're going to lose out. So slowly, clients are starting to understand that and realize that it's a cost, and it's something that you should manage.
So I think it's pretty common understanding that if you see a significant drop in your traffic, you should look at your SEO. But what about a significant increase in your traffic? Is that a...
Well, it's actually the opposite. We've seen some algorithm updates which have affected clients, but we've reacted to them. And what we've seen is actually a drop in total traffic, but an increase in conversions. So quality traffic has increased. So Google is getting better and better and better at understanding people's websites and trying to serve the correct content to the search audience. And what that means is that you may not get as much volume, but the quality of the traffic is increasing.
So less traffic's not always a bad thing.
No, not at the moment, in fact. In fact, the current trend right now is less traffic, but better traffic.
Okay. So when it comes to working with content creators, what do you guys do at TravelMedia.ie, other than all the creators here love you guys?
So the way we work with content creators is press trips, fam trips, but also working with them from a content perspective in terms of liking their style, liking their voice, and saying, can you work with us? Can you produce content for us? The smart tourist boards and the smart content creators understand that they can work together. So let's say I'm a tourist board and I'm, let's say, Spain, and I have a choice of going out and hiring a professional photographer to take pictures for me and paying them, or getting a good content creator to go on a trip, take the same pictures. I then purchase those pictures or images from the content creator. I can use them in my marketing material, websites, and so on. But I also get the added benefit of that content creator also sharing across their channel and to their audience. So that's a smart way of understanding how to work with content creators. And it almost, cuts out the professional photographer to a certain extent. So we like content creators that are smart and will do that. And also those that understand evergreen. Like, we've got some great content creators we've been working with for years who just keep sharing again and again and again and again. They understand that the content is evergreen.
So just for people who don't understand, explain evergreen just real briefly.
So content that can be used again and again. It's not time sensitive.
Yep. So like a reason to go to Ireland for Christmas.
Exactly. And that blog post, will be relevant this year and next year and the year after. It might need to be updated and tweaked here and there, but it's a good blog post.
And every December,
out you come with it.
Yeah.
And what we find is the smart content creator will, share that content again at that topical, appropriate moment. And what it does is it keeps us happy, it keeps the client ultimately happy, and it also, it's very clever, puts that content creator back front of mind with all of those parties. So the supplier or the tourist board will go, yes, do you remember that guy, we worked with before, Tom? I just saw he republished that thing. Let's get him back out. Let's do some more work with him. So it's a smart way of that blogger or content creator, keeping their brand also front of mind.
What about your clients amplifying content that their creators are making? So, I've had somebody come to a press trip. He's written a blog about my destination. Do you have clients paying for traffic or even sharing it on social media and sending traffic to those creators?
Yep. So we, number of clients we know do that. Number of reasons. Sometimes a client will say, look, we don't care that you don't have X million. What we like is your content, and we think it's really good.
Right. It's good quality, either photos or video or writing.
So we're going to amplify it, and we're going to put money behind it.
Yeah. So it doesn't always have to be the creator with the biggest audience for a brand to benefit from it. It could be just a creator that tells the right story.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember Tourism Ireland, there was a panel discussion, at TBEX Killarney last year, there was a panel discussion, and Tourism Ireland were in the room, and I forget the name of the guy, but he mentioned, he says, yes, we will put money behind good content.
I remember that.
So, there's a real concrete example. And we'll actually recommend it. We'll say to a client, look, let's say you produced a video. In reality, that video has cost you thousands. The production of it, the editing, and so on. Don't put it up onto YouTube and then not put any money behind it. Your marketing budget or your budget for that video should include a marketing element to actually then distribute it. And it's a mistake we see people make, is that they produce the video and they go, okay, we no more money left. And you're almost going to think, well, why did you bother producing the video in the first place? Because if you don't market it, no one's going to see it.
And I've heard different percentages as far as the rule, but content, you may have the number. You should spend, 30% of your time creating the content and 70% of your time distributing and marketing that content. So it's just the beginning once you've created it and uploaded it to your platform, whatever that is.
Well, it's funny. I started life a long time ago, 30 years ago, actually working in film and television. And that figure sounds to me like a figure that comes from the film and television industry. When Hollywood produces a movie, they spend $3 million on it, they're going to spend another $7 million promoting it. So it's the same with content. You've got to promote it. It's not going to get out there by itself. You might be lucky and go viral, but that's a hard thing to achieve, and it's not automatic. So everything that we do as an organization, so we practice what we preach. When we produce our own video content, we put money behind it when we launch it. Likewise, when we launch a blog, we'll put budget behind it. We'll spend money across all channels to get that video out there or that piece of content out there.
Using that movie example, working like a studio, because it's a studio's job to get the bottom line result. How much money are we going to invest in this movie? How much money we're going to get back? I've heard that, and we teach that analogy here relentlessly, to think like a publisher. You're a content creator, great, that's the beginning. But you have to think like a publisher. Once you've created that content, you're responsible for the bottom line. You've got to sell that content for either display ads, or you've got to distribute that content, you've got to promote that content, you've got to market that content like a publisher would do, as you did when you were a magazine publisher.
Bloggers are self-publishers.
But my question to you is, do you advise your clients to think that way too? Should a DMO and a travel brand start thinking like a magazine would, and again, marketing their content the same way they used to pay magazines to do that? They just let them come take pictures and let the magazine do all the work. They should be doing that work now.
Absolutely, yeah. So a client might engage us and say, look, can you manage your YouTube channel? And we do the basics first. We audit the channel, we optimize it, then we start with the videos that are already there, we optimize those, and then we come up with a strategy for new content. But it ends up being then we start asking questions, which is, okay, what are you doing with the videos? And we end up writing social media plans for them in terms of how to distribute and market that content across social media and multiple other channels. So we do end up getting involved in that and helping them and advising them, because the assumption is, same with YouTube, as I said before, dump and run. They upload and then they walk away. Of course, it's not going to work. So without a doubt, you've got to put money behind it. You've got to invest in it. And we do try and explain that to clients and help them. And that's still an uphill battle in reality.
So let me ask you another question again, that I know all the bloggers believe this, is that it's a great advantage to work with the local DMO. So if I'm in Dublin, it makes sense for me to work with the Dublin Tourist Board. And I see so many bloggers frustrated when they'll approach their local tourist board and say, hey, I live here, I have lots of great content, I love this place, I want to promote it, will you work with me? And they won't give them the time of day because the destination in point A thinks that they need to reach content creators on the other side of the world to promote their destination. Do you have an opinion on that? Would you advise your clients to work with local bloggers, local creators, when they've got somebody good who lives there?
I mean, the smart tourist boards, DMOs, and I see it more on a local level than I see it on a national level, get that and understand it. I can understand why somebody wants to reach out to a certain audience or a blogger far, far away if they feel that they have an audience that will help. But if good content is distributed properly and is doing well, then anybody anywhere will find it. So I write a blog post, people in Ireland will see it, but actually I did a test here. The same blog post appears in search here in the US. So you can do geotests with Google by changing
It's the World Wide Web.
Yeah, but it works everywhere. So good content is good content. Content. Quality. So it doesn't matter where people are based. But luckily I'm seeing less of that. People are starting to understand that, if you've got somebody who, is the right person to communicate Doesn't matter where they are. What's interesting about, to jump back, we didn't finish, for me, didn't finish the conversation in relation to, distributing content after it's produced.
Yep.
They're very simple tricks. So when you're producing the content, think about who you're working with at the time, who you're engaging with, and then keep them in the loop, keep them part of that conversation. So, for example, we have a blog post that talks about all the different social media, digital marketing conferences all over the world. I wrote the initial version, but then I employed a blogger to finish it for me. So he was part of the conversation. Then I reached out to a lot of people in the industry and said, what do you think of the list? Here's my draft. And people suggested stuff. And then when it came to publishing it, I obviously then published it and tagged all of those people and said, hey, thanks for all your help. Here's the article. Let me know what you think. So the engagement was huge. I think 60 people engaged day one with that blog post when I put it out on Facebook. So I got more good ideas, more good tips. People shared it, sent it to friends. What do you think of the list? Et cetera, et cetera. So think about, who you've worked with during the course, who you could work with that will help you distribute a piece of content, be it a video, be it a blog post, whatever it is. Engage with all of those people. And that's something I think I see a lot that people tend to forget. That in fact, there's lots of people who will happily help you. So when it comes to publishing that piece of content, you have to go back out to that audience again.
I think there's one really important point to this is you said you reach out to these people. These are people that you know, people that you have relationships with. Or if it was a stranger, it would be somebody at least that there's a reason to have that conversation. Versus just reaching out to any random person saying, hey, please share my stuff.
No, you wouldn't do that, exactly.
Now you're spamming people, right? So, but again, you have all of us here have lots of relationships of people that do have expertise and that their opinions are helpful to us. And it's just good business practice to do what you're suggesting.
And that's why these conferences are great. We all operate in the World Wide Web and we're all in our little digital bubbles, but nothing beats actually, good old physical networking in terms of, saying hello to people, shaking their hands, etc., and getting to know them and having a drink at the bar together. That's building relationships.
Yeah. So any last words of advice for either content creators or for the travel brands out there?
Well, the golden rule still remains the same, as quality always, comes to the top. Without a doubt, SEO now within YouTube has become really important, and it's still a big opportunity for people. And niche becomes even more important. There's so much content going out onto the web that, it's just, if you're generic, it's very hard to succeed. There was a stat in one of the talks earlier today that said that, and this is a stat that came from Google, that each day there are 15% new search terms on Google that didn't exist the day before. So every single day people are searching in new ways with new terms for new concepts, ideas, whatever they're searching for that didn't exist the previous day.
So you touched on, again, another really, really important point, which is focus, right? And to be specific, whether it's one piece of content or it's your channel or it's your brand, is to focus on something very specifically to a very specific audience, so you're giving them what they're looking for versus something generic, we're all things to all people. That is one of the tremendous advantages of the internet, right? And of us being to really create unlimited content. You can create a separate focused piece to that different market, but don't try to grab all of them all at once.
No, and you won't succeed.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, and I've said this many times at many talks, at many conferences over the years, I still get approached by bloggers, writers, and they say, I'd like to go to X, Y, and Z. Can you help? And I'm going, that's the widest, most open question you could have come to me with. So I can't help you. Come back to me with a specific request. Think about why you're approaching me, and I'll be happy to help. But, we do a lot of work in the ski sector. And, somebody says, I'm free in January, and I'd like to do a trip. Now you're talking to a good journalist who writes for a good publication, who's got a good audience, you want to work with that person, but saying you want to go skiing in January means nothing to me. I cannot approach my client with a generic request like that.
Spud was just talking about this in the last session, about having an angle or having a point. And it just sounds so similar. You need to have a purpose. other than going skiing?
One thing we do within our sector or market in Ireland is we run a speed networking event. So each January or February, all the professional travel bloggers, traditional media, broadcast, print, television, etc., commissioning editors, about 60 of them, come to a speed networking event that we run. And we generally have about 30, 40, tourist boards, airlines, hotels, etc. All the appointments are set up in advance. We have a really good piece of online software that does it for us. 600 odd appointments in the one day. It's a long day, 6 hours and a party afterwards. And we have a blog that tells all the bloggers and the writers, this is how you prepare for this event. Don't just turn up, be prepared. And year one, not many people read it, except one blogger. And she specialized in family travel. And she came along and she had 35 appointments. And she had a separate proposal, individualized for every single supplier and DMO that she met.
I'm sure they were impressed.
They were all impressed, and she did very well out of that day. So, stand out from the crowd, put in the prep work. I think it's 5 Ps or 7 Ps, which is proper prior performance prevents piss poor performance. So be prepared. It's all in the preparation. It's all in the setup. It's all in the work in advance. And, that's a simple truth that probably goes back to a generation before ours. Our parents taught us that. And the same applies. It doesn't matter that we're in the digital world. Those who are prepared, put in the groundwork, do very well.
Michael, you and your team obviously practice what you preach, you and Leslie and Neve back home and all the rest of your team. Thank you so much again for all that you do, and thanks for being with us today.
Pleasure, Rick. Anytime. Thank you.
Again, I love that interview with Michael, and I could talk to him for quite a bit longer. If you couldn't tell, you were elbowing me, saying, "Okay, Rick, you got to cut it off."
Yeah, I when you were doing it, I was attending a session, and then I came back and I thought, "Are you still talking?" So yeah, no, super interesting and a super nice guy, and what they do is truly interesting.
And really, one of the beautiful things about social media, I love what social media gives me. The ability to connect with people, the ability to research things, the community that you can find of people like you, and really nice people that you can build a relationship with. I hate the things that social media and the internet take from me. But Michael is one of those people who really represents when social media first happened, right? I remember when Twitter first came out and everybody thought, this is changing the world. It was so awesome. I was there at South by Southwest the day that they debuted it. He really embodies all of those good things of social media. If you were to ask Michael a question like, hey, how would I do this? He would just answer it whether he knew you or not. Mm-hmm. And so,
yeah.
Anyway, I'm a fan of his.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy that I've met many times. Every time I go to a TBEX, I see his smiling face with the curly hair, a very iconic look.
But always with the smile and having fun.
Exactly, but I've never really had a chance to talk more to him until this TBEX. So I'm glad I got to know him and looking forward to meeting him again. He's the kind of guy that you meet all the time, like Kristen, Gary, and Kervin. So right. Yeah, he's always around.
Exactly. One of the many generous, kind, exceptional people that you'll meet at TBEX. So with that said, we'll put this in the show notes. They just produced a video interview with another great speaker from TBEX in Billings, which was Sante Achille. Who Sante is a person that I met almost a year ago now, I think, who also reached out to me when he heard we were interested in doing an event in Italy. And Sante organizes, or did organize, I think he's since retired from that, an SEO conference in Italy, one of the most prestigious SEO conferences in the world. He was the organizer of that. And SEO, and Sante is a world-renowned expert in SEO. And so we had just talked for several months, and he told me some more about the things that he was working on with structured data. And this interview, you can get a little glimpse of that. Michael interviewing Sante about where is the future of SEO? Where is the future of SEO going? How important is it to content creators and to brands? And what's going to be different than traditional SEO that we've all known in the past? He talks a lot about meta tags, and he talks a little bit about structured data. And Sante spoke about these things in a workshop at the conference, which the people who attended said it just blew their minds.
Yeah.
And same thing, he did a talk, a breakout talk, and I saw Tamiko Harvey right after she came out of that session to lunchtime, and I remember her going, "My brain just exploded." So,
Yeah.
so he really is somebody that, if you want to know stuff about SEO, Sante's a guy you should listen to, and you'll get a little taste of that in this interview if Michael did with him.
Yeah. I simply cannot wait to see that, and we will put a link to it right in the show notes. So just look at your phone, look at your screen, look whatever you and click that link so you can get that interview. Anyway, we're just about done. But before we go for this episode, you have some news. But before we go, you have some news to share about the next 2 TBEXs.
Yeah, a little bit of news. So this, probably about the time you're listening to this podcast, we'll be announcing our next round of speakers for TBEX Europe. And we'll talk a little bit about that on the next podcast. Shane Dallas has done a phenomenal job putting together, I think, and every conference organizer says this about every conference, but I swear to you, the best lineup of speakers we have ever had. Advanced level, serious, mind-stretching information that people are going to come away from that going, wow.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to announce this next round of speakers that Shane's come up with. So look for that next week. You'll see new speakers announced for TBEX.
Yeah, and I know that you try not to have too many overlaps of the same speakers from the European TBEX to the North American TBEX, but are any of those so good that you might bring them to the next US North American TBEX?
Short answer, yes. There will be a couple that overlap. A couple actually that were new. Sante, I can tell you, will be one of those speakers. And another interesting thing we're going to do for the first time ever in Catania, again, Sante will be one of these. We're going to have 3 or 4 speakers do about a half day's content in Italian in Italy, specifically for travel industry professionals in Italy. So these are all Italians speaking in Italian to other Italians about the importance of some of these social media things. Obviously, Sante will be talking about SEO, but we'll also be talking about brands and influencers working together. And this is specifically for the locals in Italy, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Now, I mentioned the next TBEX North America, which is obviously going to be in
Lafayette, Louisiana.
I never can remember how to pronounce it. Lafayette. So yeah,
so Mike with Lafayette told me the way to say that is you'll never get laughed at if you say Lafayette.
Aha, got it.
There you go. Your mnemonic device for you to learn how to say Lafayette.
Now I will never forget. It's like when I was learning how to say cheers in Hungarian, which is agizhigidre. I'm quite proud that I know that.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But the way to learn it is I can shake a tree. So those little things, and just make it sound Hungarian. Now, anyway, about Lafayette, you're sending out a call for speakers soon.
Call for speakers will open November 5th. So a week or 2 after you hear from this podcast. So that's coming up very soon. So if you're interested to speak at TBEX North America next year, please keep an eye out for that and get your submission in early.
Cool. And that's it for this episode. We will be back, and we promise, on October 31st with the 4th episode of Travel Matters.
Palle, make me a promise. Next episode, we'll talk a little bit about your impressions of my hometown, San Diego.
Oh, we will. We will.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This episode of Travel Matters was hosted by TBEX CEO Rick Calvert and Radio Vagabond Palle, and produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.